For Jness, I think, is the most gratifying thing that I've ever done. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done because it consists of working with a group of people in a way that is totally interdependent, meaning we're all working together and no one is ever punished and no one is ever told that they're wrong or they're bad. And the most important thing in working on Jness is the relationships in Jness. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to the objective being met. I'm used to having like strict, hard, fast deadlines and lots of fear and punishment if I don't get it right. And in working for Jness, there isn't any of that. So it comes purely from a place of self-motivation and self-direction. And that is really difficult. But I would say that working for the Jness is the most satisfying and purposeful thing I've ever done. Watching the women who are involved in Jness completely transform and evolve in a way that is so pure is such a privilege. And really literally seeing people's lives path completely turn 180 degrees, where in one moment they really felt like this was all that they had and this was all that they could do, and then all of a sudden they come through Jness and they start working with us and in our community, and it's like a whole nother life is born out of their new experience of themselves. And that's an incredibly satisfying and gratifying thing to do. I think it's challenging because I think Jness is an organization that looks to all participants to be 100% responsible for themselves and their lives. So it makes it hard to blame people for mistakes that are made when you're always looking at your own responsibility and participation in the situation. But that's just hard for my ego and my pride. I think if the whole world operated in that way, we'd have a much more joyful and a much more efficient existence. The amount of time that we spend blaming one another is a little ridiculous. So working for Jness is grounding and satisfying and humbling and wonderful. Wonderful.
This next question is awesome. It's, if happiness was the national currency, what would make you rich? And I think the answer to that question is bringing together the people that I love the most in order to have a good experience somewhere doing something. I love like putting together dinner parties. I love going traveling with people. I love organizing spaces and experiences with the people that I care for the most that cultivate good relationships. And it's interesting because that's kind of what I do with Jness, the women's organization that I work with. We use these tools and these structures in order to organize situations and circumstances for women to come together and create incredible relationships. So I guess I am kind of doing that. And then on top of that, performing. Like, I love to perform. Can you tell? And I get to do that for a living, and I get to do that for money, and both things I do. So that's pretty awesome. Hey, this question's great.
So when I first came into Jness, I had just come out of a relationship, and I was feeling very scared and lost and confused and like, oh my gosh, am I going to be single forever? Am I ever going to be able to have a relationship? What's wrong with me? Like, all this stuff. And very shortly into the program, I started to recognize and experience that what I was looking for wasn't about a relationship. What I was looking for was about an experience of myself in my life. And once I understand how to have that experience of myself in my life for me, I can then have the relationship I want or not, but I'm okay in either circumstance. And going through my life and going forward into my life from this place with that recognition, I feel like the possibilities are endless, and I feel like I have no fear in shooting for what I want ideally. There's no reason to settle because any way I look at it, I'm going to be good. That's awesome. So before Jness, I had tons of people around me all the time. I've always been a people person. People used to come visit me at my house and say they were going to Camp Allison because it was like, it was a party. Everywhere I went, it was a party. But I felt very lonely. And I didn't understand why. That didn't make sense to me. And I imagined the idea of like finding the most wonderful husband and then feeling intimate and, finding that one best friend and then feeling like at ease in my relationships, at least with just one person. I was just looking for one person. And I didn't understand why I couldn't get that. I was so good with people. I was so good in a living room, but I was so bad at intimacy. The format that the Jness Tracks offers with the men and the women, and then this consolidated, very intense structure where you are just diving into yourself and understanding how you relate to other people, helped me to reveal all of these areas of insecurity, areas of just really basic confusion, or lack of attention, like things that I had just never thought about or looked at in myself. The Jness Tracks helped me open up and see so that I could start to build a relationship with me and start to be honest with me, and then practice being honest with all the people in the tracks with me. And then that expanded out and out and out into the rest of my life. And now I have the most beautiful friendships with people that go so far beyond anything I could have imagined. And I have the most awesome experience with my family. And I can say with total truth that I look at men now and I'm not trying to find a future husband. And that is very freeing.